What's up, guys? It is Ben with Ben's Election Predictions, and this is the first primary of the primary season. We're starting out in the state of Ohio, which is a perennial swing state, and I think will be a very interesting state in terms of um, how powerful the Trump endorsement is, where the Republican Party is in terms of are they more of a Trump loyalist party or have they moved on from Trump some? We do see that JD Vance has been the favorite ever since the Trump endorsement, but as the results come in and we predict a final winner of it, will the narrative after this race be that okay, JD Vance was failing, and the Trump endorsement pushed him over the edge, or did Matt Dolan, who's kind of the opposite of everything that Trump held, who was actually going pretty much against Trump and was the only candidate that was willing to do so, was his momentum enough to kind of prove that maybe the GOP electorate has kind of moved on from the Trump endorsement, um, or the power of the Trump endorsement. Going off of Predicted right now, it appears that JD Vance is the heavy favorite, which isn't necessarily surprising. He was up in the polls going into the last days of the election. Currently, he is at an 82% buy on Predicted, and Matt Dolan is in second with 18%. What's pretty interesting I find here is that Mike Gibbons and Jane Timken, who are also candidates in the race, they are not even listed in the last poll. Mike Gibbons, the campaign, this was kind of seen as a three-horse race. Matt Dolan was gaining some last-minute momentum, which a lot of people saw coming from nowhere. People thought that because he was so anti-Trump and that he was just wasting his own money. He was the owner of the Cleveland Indians that changed to the Cleveland Guardians, and people thought this as maybe being a non-starter in a GOP primary. That's where the electorate is very much against cancel culture and wokeism, even though that Matt Dolan technically wasn't in the decision making for that. However, I think the things that are going to matter in this race, in addition to the Trump endorsement, etc., is the fact that there's been a lot of inclement weather in the Ohio area. So, looking over the radar right now, we can see that in a lot of the urban areas in Ohio, there is weather, thunderstorms, rain. What this means is that turnout is going to be low. In low turnout elections, we've seen this many times. Typically, the favorite coming into election day, the person that is ahead in the polls, typically benefits from this, and those candidates that are kind of gaining last minute momentum are the ones that are hurt the most from this. So in this race, most particularly, JD Vance would be the benefit of low turnout and big thunderstorms in the Cleveland and even Columbus area. If we take a look at the radar right now, on the ground, people are saying that turnout is expected to be lower than it was in the 2018 primaries as well. But it will be interesting to see how the turnout levels do affect what the end vote is. People from the JD Vance campaign are saying that they feel good right now. They are projected right now on Predicted with an 88% favorite. The results are just starting to come in, and I think that we will probably be able to call this race in maybe the next 15 minutes or so. So definitely stay tuned. Right now with 3% reporting, we do have JD Vance in the lead with 8,000 votes. Definitely still a lot of the vote to come in, and we're getting more and more votes coming in. Uh, we have 4% reporting, and honestly, this matches the polls almost to a T. We have JD Vance in the lead, winning by 2 percentage points, and Matt Dolan at 24%, down 2 percentage points. So if y'all want to type anything into the chat so I can answer any individual questions there, um, that is the way that I like to interact with everyone here. I think this race is going to be pretty interesting. I do expect it to be called fairly early in the night. Ohio typically is pretty good with coming with results coming in pretty early. And we do see in the Columbus area, Matt Dolan is in the lead in Franklin County. So we could see that in the urban areas, we do see Matt Dolan doing better, primarily among the suburbanites, etc. But this will be fairly interesting to look at. Obviously, on the Democratic side, I don't think it's any surprise that Tim Ryan is going to be the winner here. And I do think that he will be a pretty um, strong candidate. Ohio's definitely shifted to the right, especially in the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections. Trump won each of those 2 years by around 8 points. However, we do see in 2018 the incumbent Sherrod Brown won the state of Ohio pretty handily. So we do see that results are starting to come in um, just minute by minute. Right now we have 6% reporting, and the results are staying pretty constant. I do think that the polls might actually be pretty spot on from what we uh, or what we're going to have on our results. At least that's what it is starting out to look like here as they come in. And so just kind of looking at that, the markets related to the Ohio market, it does appear like that the turnout is going to be anywhere between 800,000 to 1.1 million, which would be a reduction in turnout from previous years. I was just talking about how those thunderstorms in Ohio are probably going to depress turnout. And when turnout is depressed, typically you have a more sure result as it relates to the uphold. So right now, with about 90% confidence, I do feel comfortable calling this race for JD Vance. This is who I expected to win ever since the Trump endorsement. Had Trump not endorsed, I do think that this race probably would be won by Matt Dolan or Josh Mandel. Um, so please go into the chat right now. I will be interested to hear your questions here. Right now, I feel fairly confident in already calling this race for JD Vance, even though that there are only around 6% of the vote in. So let me know if you have any questions about what this might mean for the 2022 midterms or beyond, because I do think that there will be big consequences here. So I'm going to take a quick break, but let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to stay on for a while.